Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be about my ayahuasca experience. This is my first ever live, so I am so thankful. I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. And what better way to start this YouTube journey than to begin with a life transformational experience, something that I can share to help empower you on your journey, something that I can share to help give you direction and clarity on next steps and make you feel confident about wherever you are going in this lifetime. So, my name is Miss Sinclair, aka the Feminine Boss, and we can get into who I am, what I do, what my life is about in later lives. But today, I specifically wanted to focus on this story because I know that it can help transform so many other lives. And I know that so many people have questions about, you know, ayahuasca and, the whole process, what it feels, what people can expect. And so I am going to share the preparation, I am going to share the ceremony, and I am going to share the after results. So this video might be about 30 minutes long. So go ahead and skip to whichever part intrigues you the most. But I hope that you will stay through and through. And while I am going through this video, if you have comments, please drop them because I will do another video just to answer these questions and dedicate it to your curiosities and inquiries. So let's get started. So, I have been looking at ayahuasca for a while. I would say maybe 1 or 2 years now. And I am no novice to exploring myself. I love to, take risks in my life, like educated risk, but things that will help me experience something new and recreate my self identity. And now I am at the point where I'm ready for ayahuasca. I have overcome, mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety. In my past, like, my 20s, I've done other drugs. And so I felt comfortable with going into this experience, knowing that it'll be a healthy, transformative experience, as opposed to just being like a party thing or something that can damage me or harm me, right? And so the first thing I started to do was learn more about ayahuasca, what it is, which is, from my understanding, it is the extract. It's the extract from a root of a big tree in the Amazons. Specifically, it could be Colombia, it could be Peru. It's from the Amazon in South America, and they take the bark and they extract the liquids from it. They make it into a brew, and you ingest it for medicinal healing. You would experience some hallucinations, you would experience some clarity, you would experience some past life experiences, maybe some traumas that you need to heal from. And I heard that it can even go six generations deep, right? Like you can experience things from 6 generations ago, and that is just because our DNA, right? It's deep into our DNA what our ancestors have experienced. And so we may, overcoming our personal traumas today, may experience or be able to see some of the things that have happened in the past and be able to combat it in our lives today. So do your research. Definitely do your research. I attempted to create a retreat. Me and my partner, we wanted to do a retreat for our Enrich Her series. We wanted to take women to Tulum and do a weekend of self healing. And we wanted to, after that retreat, actually go and experience ayahuasca together. And we just weren't able to complete the journey, complete the trip. So, I was a little bummed out about it. And then recently I was like, it's November. I have a lot of things going on in my mind, in my life that I'm excited about, but I want some clarity, I want some direction. And I was planning a trip to Peru. But the retreats that I was looking at, they were actually very expensive. And I was like, now, you can unfreeze your credit card and put this credit card on your trip. I mean, put this trip on your credit card. But I just didn't think that it was a good financial decision. And so I kind of got sad that I couldn't go. And then magically, not magically because everything happens as it should, but literally a day or 2 after I made that decision to not go, I saw an opportunity that a friend of mine, whom I've actually met her, on my 30-day sabbatical in Mexico years ago, and we stayed in contact. We maintained a friendship, and, she was hosting one here locally in Georgia, and so I knew that it was just the plant calling me. I knew that it was my God self in alignment with what I wanted and what I needed at this time. And so there was no hesitation in reserving my spot to experience it locally here in Georgia. And so that's how it happened, right? So I did a bunch of research on it, how to prepare, what should I be eating, what should I be doing throughout my days. And so the ceremony was about 2 weeks away, and so I eat pretty healthy anyway, and so one of the main things you want to start doing is becoming plant-based, cleaning out your body naturally of toxins and impurities because you really want the effects of the medicine to expose the things that you need to see. But if you have dead animals in your system, if you have, decay in your system and just things blocking the medicine from truly exploring your body and working in you, it defeats the purpose. So going plant-based is definitely one of them. Um, you want to make sure that you are ingesting or consuming things through your ears and through your eyes, but they are censored, right? So you want to make sure that what you're looking at, what you're listening to, who you're engaging with, that they don't cause any triggers, that they don't heighten your sensitivity. They don't impact your subconscious. You want to make sure that you are in a peaceful environment. Maybe start doing more reading those 2 weeks leading up to the ceremony, more meditating. I started to meditate twice a day, one when I woke up and one when I went to bed. I also started to journal every single morning. To help me, express my thoughts, express my feelings so that, my subconscious was becoming prime to see what I needed to see, right? It's kind of like you starting to work before you even start the work. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that it kind of puts you in that habit to have the best experience. But it's something that you can continue on in your life and you realize how beneficial it is to you when you're doing it and you realize you can incorporate this type of habits in your life. And so I started doing that, drinking a lot of water, of course. And speaking of, mm, love me a sip of water. So definitely drinking, your water, but, just being very mindful of how you are living your days, right? So you do this for 2 weeks, obviously doing your research. They tell you not to have any expectations going into the ceremony. So I tried my best not to overindulge in watching other people's YouTube videos because I didn't want to have that impression to think that it was going to be some way that someone else experienced. Trust me, when they say that every single person's experience is different, every single person experience is different. Okay. So just put my fan on real quick. Every single person's experience is different from the way you prepare, from the way you actually go through the ceremony to even after what you feel and how you start to integrate and take your life lessons. So just know that I know that if you're going on this journey, you're probably going to do some research. So just be careful. If you hear something that gives you fear, stop watching it. Um, yeah, if anything makes you feel fearful, then stop watching it because fear is like one of the things that hinders us from elevating and really exploring our lives and experiencing things that can really help us. So, if anything brings you fear, cut it out immediately, okay? If anything makes you angry or sad, cut it out immediately. You really want to tap into the highest vibration possible so that you can really get the most out of this experience, okay? So that's what preparation looks like. I cleaned my house. I had a cat. I had a cat that I had gotten from the shelter last year, and she really started to become a nuisance in my house. Just very needy, always crying. I just couldn't take it, and so I got rid of her before I took her back to the shelter before the ceremony, because I don't. And anyway, even if I didn't take her, even if it wasn't a ceremony, I needed to do that anyway, because she was disturbing my peace. She was disturbing my mind and my soul. And so yeah, so it was just further confirmation that that's what I needed to do at that time, right? So we should really just get into the habit of living this way anyway. If we want to have a better life experience, just start cutting out the things that don't work for you. Okay. So I don't think there was anything else significant to prepare, but I think that was enough. Even switching your lifestyle for that little bit of time into something more meditative and higher vibrational, that is a task in itself, because you'll start to realize the little things in your life that take you away from who you really are, what you really want, and who you want to be. So that's how you can prepare. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat, or in the comment section, and I am going to answer them in another video. So let's talk about the journey itself. And I want to reiterate again that everybody's journey is different. The group, it was about 10 of us on the journey, which I think this, having a small, intimate group like this, I would really prefer to always have an experience with a small, intimate group. I think that we all got the attention that we needed from the helpers who were there. I think that we all were able to, just kind of get our share of care during the experience. So I saw online that there were some ceremonies will have a 50 people, 100 people. I'm not really interested in that. I really enjoy the intimate experience a little better, especially being a first timer. But even so, even after, if you want to just, congregate, you don't want to be around too many people, too many energies. Again, your recovery time and what happens during your recovery is going to be different from everyone else's. So you kind of want to control your environment. That's my own personal belief and experience, right? You may want something else. So, so we all prepared. We went to a cabin up in the mountains, and it was absolutely beautiful. We went to like maybe the highest point in the mountains, which was absolutely beautiful. They took our phone, they took our keys so that we can focus. There wouldn't be any distractions. Because when you're on plant medicine and you're experiencing these different things, you don't know how you're going to react. And so they took those things from us. They also again, it was a cabin. It was a huge beautiful cabin up in the mountains, floor to ceiling windows. It was very picturesque. The scene was very beautiful. And again, with it being a small intimate group, we were able to, hey, how you doing, you had experience. It wasn't overwhelming, so that's what I really liked about it. And so because it was so cold here in Georgia, we did not do the ceremony outside, which is not typical from what I understand. Typically it's done in the Amazon. It's hot, right? But here we were inside a cabin and it was cold outside. But we made it cozy. We all came in a space and we all found different areas to kind of lay and make ourselves comfortable. And so the facilitator was flown here from Colombia, and there were maybe about 5 helpers as well. So it was a really good ratio. So I'm gonna start with the first ceremony, which was the rapé. Rapé is a tobacco-like substance, herbs, dried up into like little dust. and what they do is they put it in, like, some type of pipe, and they put it up your nostril. She asked me if I wanted the feminine or the masculine side first. I don't really know what that means, if I did the feminine side first or the masculine side first, like, what effect it would have, but I just said the left side because I'm left-handed. And so the left side is your feminine and the right side is your masculine. So they put the wooden piece up your nose. No, well, first she told me to do some deep breathing. So I breathe in, out, in, out, in, out. Right? I love deep breathing. It always centers you. Then the last deep breath in, and then she put it up my nose. I was holding a breath, blew it up my nose. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little apprehensive at first. I was questioning whether I would even do rapé because I saw a video where a man got rapé and he like got up and he was like, ooh, my mind, right? And so I was like, I don't know, right? But I did again in preparation for this. I put it in perspective, right? In my high school years, if I've ever smoked, a joint or something, I can recall maybe swallowing it accidentally and feeling that burning sensation in my brain, right? So it's just like, okay, I've went through that. I can go through that. And another thing that made me confident about it was there were two younger girls who went before me with the rapé, and they didn't jump up, they didn't scream, they didn't do any of those things. So I was like, okay, I can do this, right? So she did the left side first, which is the feminine, and then she did the right side, which was the masculine. And it burns. It definitely burns. Goes up to your brain, it burns. It's in your sinuses. So once it's in there, they tell you not to breathe through your nose, so you breathe through your mouth. We laid back so that I guess it can work through our sinuses. The purpose of rapé is to clear this out, open up your pineal gland, remove the decay so that you are open, you are ready, you are receptive to the things that are coming to you, to the newness, right? And I thought that was very powerful because, it's kind of like a primer for the experience, right? So it's like you get your mind ready for the experience of the ayahuasca. And so we did the rapé, and then I laid down. As soon as I laid down, we were not breathing through our nose, but I felt it running through my sinuses. And probably I started to swallow because I guess it goes up and comes down. It did kind of taste like burnt tobacco, whatever going down, which is usual, which I expected, right? I didn't expect it to taste like um cotton candy or anything. So just swallowing that was a little interesting for me. But I kept breathing through my mouth, laying there, and immediately, for me specifically, I had an overabundance of thoughts of the goals that I have for myself. And, we all set our intentions before going into this ceremony. And mine specifically was to really get some clarity about the direction of my life. And I immediately started to see myself as the woman that I want to be, doing the thing that will be most impactful and most aligned with my path. And the visions, it was so deep, it was so consistent. This was the only thing that I was able to think about. Like, I saw myself doing the things that I planned and desired to do, and living a fulfilling life. And the thought was just, I could not think about it. It was just like a movie playing in my mind. And so yeah, so that happened, and it takes about, it takes some time to kind of clear out things, right? So after everyone tried, and again, everyone's experience is different because there was a gentleman in front of me, and he was a little giddy. He was definitely like smiling. He was just like, oh my gosh. I think things really opened up for him immediately with the rapé. We didn't even take the ayahuasca yet. So that was very, very nice that he started to experience that so quickly. And while we were sitting there letting our rapé run through, the facilitator from Colombia, he started to speak to us, and I thought that this was so perfect. I thought that the fact that he, while we have our mind's eye open, freshly opened, so susceptible and easily influenced. He put so much good energy and understanding into our minds at that time. And so he spoke for about 30 minutes. He spoke about the experience of ayahuasca, how long he's been doing it, the things that he sees, how it can help you, you know, making us understand that it's not a cure for anything, but it is going to be our decision to act on what we see. It's going to be on us to decide to choose new things in our lives in order to manifest the things that we see during our ceremony. And I mean, that was just spot on. It just made so much sense in that moment. He talked about how, from the womb and being born, we are already primed with information. I talked about this earlier with our DNA. We are already primed with information from our ancestors, and then we're born, and then the household we grow up in, and then the schools, and then the communities and the world. We are, every single day we are compounded with more information, not only in our minds but in our soul, in our DNA. We are becoming the things that we are surrounding ourselves with. And so it's very important to know that you have to unlearn so much in order to get to the core of who you are and to the core of your being, of who you're supposed to be. And so that is really what ayahuasca helps you do. It helps you to navigate through the confusion, through the things, through, just through all of the influences that you've had in your life, and it helps you navigate closer to the core of really who you are and who you're supposed to be. Okay, and so that's why it's up to us in our choice, in our will, to take action on those things after they happen. Okay, so he spoke about that. He spoke about, people just coming to the ceremonies and not making change. And what a pity that is. What a pity that is, to go through such lengths to experience this. Maybe you paying, you're traveling, what your body is going through during the process, and not make change, not find your power within that. And so he talked about that. He talked about traumas and how they're just lingering, and it's up to us to kind of go through. He reiterated that we should watch, and this is something that I learned during my research. Just really watch, be an observer of what you see. Don't get caught up. Trust that the medicine is taking you on a journey, whether it's dark or bright. It's necessary for you to see for your next level. So remember that, right? Remember that you are in a safe space, that this is temporary, and that it is for you to grow and be a better person, right? And so really keep that in your mind. Observe. Don't get caught up in what you see. And always remember your intentions. Why are you doing this in the first place? Talk to yourself. Ask yourself questions throughout it. And also, number one, stay connected to your breath. Stay connected to your breath, because wherever you are in your mind and your subconscious, your breath is your connection to now. Like, your breath connects you to this here and now, right? So stay connected to your breath so you don't get lost. Okay, what else? He was talking a lot. So it was, I was with him, but again, my mind was so, like, it was just like, girl, this is exactly where you need to be, who you need to be, what you need to be doing. Oh, I saw myself talking, I saw myself walking, I saw myself being, I saw myself living the life of what is truly for me and who I am, right? I saw it was just so vivid. It was just like, this is a no-brainer. This is the direction I need to go. To be honest, you know, maybe I didn't need the ayahuasca after that, but I wanted the ayahuasca after that. I was like, I am so ready, right? So after that happened, he asked us to close our eyes and he did his whatever he was doing while our eyes were closed, blessing the brew, getting it together, noises, all this stuff, right? And I was like, yeah, this is really about to happen. I was like, this is really about to happen. And again, I had the two girls in front of me. So he called everyone up one by one. Hey, it's time. Come take your ayahuasca. Next, next, next. Right. So I was number three. I got up. So we drunk out of the brew was like orange. We drunk out of like this wooden stick, looked like you could have just took off a tree branch and made it into a cup, but it had to be like a shot full of ayahuasca juice or tea or whatever. And so they poured it in this thing. We all drunk from the same cup. Right? Ain't nobody thinking about, listen, we are about to transform and go into the subconscious. Ain't nobody thinking about the cups, right? So this is another level of letting go of the material world and these things and these fears and all of that. So we all drank from the same cup. I took mine. They said, take it as a shot. I took it as a shot and I did it like a G. I went back to my spot. The taste. The taste is not the best taste. It tastes like a tree bark, but it has like a spice and then like a tartness and then like a sweetness. Kind of like, when you throw up, like it kind of have all those tastes plus the tree bark in it, right? So the taste is not the best, obviously, right? This is coming from a Colombian Amazon, right? It's not going to taste like sugar, okay? So that's what it tasted like. And I immediately laid down and I just started focusing on my breathing. They said it'll take 45 minutes you know, to activate. And so I'm just sitting there breathing. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to meditate. Like I was trying to force my mind to meditate to pass the time because I know that I can do an easy meditation in 15 to 20 minutes, right? So that will help me pass the time while I wait. But I couldn't meditate. The only thing my mind was on was still the vision of the woman that I am supposed to be. That's it. I couldn't think about anything else. I swear. I tried, but I couldn't. And so I had to release that. I had to release the ego of trying to control my thoughts, control what's going to happen. I had to release that. I had to stop. And so I submitted. I was like, okay, this is what you want me to do. This is where you want my mind to go. I will sit here. But my ego kept popping up. And this is another thing. Like, we're supposed to go into this thing with no expectations, no demands. We're supposed to just let the medicine take us. And I remember in my like in the back of my mind, even though my vision was on who I am, I kept hearing thoughts. I kept hearing thoughts in my mind like, okay, I'm ready, right? And literally every person's experience is different because there were some people after 5 minutes already purging, some people were crying hysterically. I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's about to happen. Yes." I was so ready. Some people were already purging, some people were already going to the bathroom, some people were already, purging from their mouth. And I know it's purging. I know that it's cleansing on a deepest level because a lot of us fasted that day. Okay, I ate just one. I really slowed down my eating. I probably ate like once a day or twice a day, but very, very small. So I ate that morning. I had a bowl of oatmeal, like a 1 cup bowl of oatmeal and a smoothie with nothing but berries, vegan protein, and oat milk. That's it. So that was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then about 3 o'clock that day, I had a few pieces of vegetable sushi, a couple of bites of a fruit, and I think that's it, right? And so some people fasted that day, some people didn't eat anything, right? And so I know I was purging because the amount of purge that was coming out of people, we all prepared for this, had our plant-based medicine, so I knew it wasn't the foods that were in our system. It was the releasing of unwanted blockages in our body. So, everyone is having their experience. Some people, not feeling well, maybe feeling like, oh, maybe they're super high or they just, everybody's experience was different. So I tried to maintain in my own corner, focusing on my own self. And I want to say maybe a couple hours passed. And while I did see some hallucinating, I did see some colors falling from the sky. I felt like I was in ether, and I was expecting to see dragons. A lot of people say they saw dragons, but again, don't go with any expectations because you don't know what you're supposed to and going to see. So it started off with a lot of falling colors, like falling rainbow flakes or falling rainbow strings, and just being in the ether, like just being in a mass, like just there, and these things, that's it, right? And so I'm like, I'm ready. I want the big bang. Like I want the shebang. I'm ready for what everybody else is experiencing. After a couple of hours, it was time for the second cup. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to take a second cup of ayahuasca, but I felt like I was not experiencing it to its maximum opportunity. So I took a second cup. And I laid down. And when I laid down, my body started to feel it more, in a sense of maybe feeling like, when you drink too much and you're kind of like drunk and hungover. I kind of started to feel that a little bit. And I was like, I hope that second cup wasn't a mistake. My stomach started bubbling crazy. Like my stomach started bubbling so crazy. And I was trying not to pass gas so bad. Now I'm giving y'all the tea, okay? And so I'm there still visioning, that vision that I told y'all about, just, that person, that woman. And then also just seeing more colors, more abyss, more going through the abyss. Like I'm waiting for ayahuasca to grab me and make me purge and make me have this great experience. And I think that that was the wrong thing to do, even though I tried not to. I think that expectation of when it was going to happen and how it was going to happen really affected me. I had a very delayed um, reaction to the ayahuasca. And I know it was delayed because maybe a couple of hours after that, maybe an hour after that second cup, I finally started to kind of feel real deep in another, deep in my subconscious. And then I had to go to the bathroom. So I was escorted by one of the helpers. And I like to call them angels because they were so attentive. They watched us, they cared for us, they loved on us, they provided for us during this process, they nurtured us. And it was such a beautiful experience to have them there and available, knowing the things you need before you even need them, right? Allowing you to really focus on your journey and not the physical things around you. And so that was I really love that. And so one of them helped me to the bathroom, and I knew that something was happening because I was definitely hallucinating. I couldn't really walk to the bathroom alone. So when I used the bathroom, I think I didn't purge, but I just used the bathroom and went to lay back down. But after that, there was so much going on around me. I started to get distracted. I wasn't really as comfortable in my space. and one of the helpers saw that, and actually she was my friend. She's the one who coordinated the ceremony. So she was like, "Are you okay? You know, are you uncomfortable? Do you want to stay here? Can I take you to your room?" And honestly, I wasn't even talking. I was like, "Mhm. Mm-mm. Mhm." She was like, "Okay, come on." And she took me to my room. I passed out on that bed. I was like I was like, because I was like it felt like I was, intoxicated on every level from every direction. And so that's when I started to have more visions. I saw some people. I had a revelation about a good friend of mine, and it was so clear. It was so clear. I saw some things that were not as appetizing, and I had to remember to, like, I remember in my mind saying, "Oh, that's not for me." Like, I remember saying, "Oh, who's that?" And they turned around and it freaked me out what I saw, and I was like, "Oh, that's not for me." And I just continued to, and I wasn't even a person. I can't, some things I can't explain, but I was not a person. I was just a force. I was an energy experiencing things in another place. And I started to feel, really sick. And by this time, we had started everything maybe about 9, 10 o'clock at night. By this time, it was almost going to, it was probably about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning because I didn't purge until after 5 o'clock when the sun was up again. And I remember calling for someone to help me because I knew I needed to use the bathroom. And someone came. It was actually another girl who had participated, and she helped me to the bathroom. And I finally purged on the toilet, and I knew I was purging because the amount of things that came out of me, that was a purge, okay? And then so I went back to bed. As soon as I got back to bed, I um I started to purge from my mouth. They gave us all little trash cans, which was so thoughtful. And so I started to purge from my mouth. And as I was purging, I was saying thank you because that's what the helpers downstairs, anytime someone was purging, they was blessing the person, being thankful, just really putting a lot of love and thanks into the opportunity to get these things out of you. And so I was there by myself at that time. And so I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And just, releasing. But as I was purging, I started to see the trauma that I needed to address. I started to see the point in my life where things started to change for me, and I needed to release those things, and I needed to just release those things. Like, the weight that I've been carrying in my life, I just needed to stop. Like, it wasn't necessary. Um, and after I finished purging in my bucket, I laid down and a rush of uncontrollable crying came over me. Like, it was like I needed to cry. It wasn't anything that I brought on. It was pushed out of me. And I can just remember all these childhood things that collectively made me the woman that I was and why. And just releasing certain beliefs that I've had. Um, and by this time, two of the ladies came to my room and they were just, giving me love and caressing me, which, oh my God, for them to do that and be there at that time, it was so healing for me, you know. The love that they were giving me in those moments, it just made me realize that I could release all those things that I've been holding on to all this time, even more from the visions that I was having, even more from the purging. It was like from every direction, inside and out of me, this message was very clear. And I would cry, I would stop, I would cry, and the cries were like they came from my heart. They were forced out of me. I was not, it's, you know, how you think that you sit and you sulk and you think about things and it makes you cry. That wasn't it. It was pushed out of me. It was being released from me. It was being released from me. Um, it was beautiful. It it was beautiful. It was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I needed. Um, Again, everybody's experience is going to be different, and you just have to, you know, go through the process and experience things so that you can unfold into the person that you are supposed to be, so that you can release the things that no longer serve you, so that you can move confidently within this world. Um, ah, I'm after this video, I think I'm just gonna sit in this feeling, sit in this remembrance, because again, sometimes we're in life and because there's so many distractions, we forget. It took me 2 days after that to really unpack everything and write a journal entry, and 2 days after that to actually come and share my experiences with you guys. And I know there's gonna be a lot of questions, and so I definitely wanted to make this video because it's so much that I can't even explain, but I hope that, you know, this information was valuable and gives you some insight on, you know, my personal experience because everyone's will be different. And so what I brought away from this, um, I'm gonna share a book that I was reading. In preparation for this journey, I was reading this book called Conversations with God. This book is everything. And I'm going to do another video on this book specifically, but it really helped to give me subconsciously give me personal power in preparation for this journey. I also watched YouTube repeatedly by Aaron Lyons, ErinLyons. The video is called The Frequency of God. Those two things, these two things I kept so that I can prime myself for my experience in the after, right? And so, in closing, the experience was worth it. I want to do it again. I want to do it again in the same environment because I really liked the intimacy, but I would also like to go closer to the plant's home and experience this live there. And I think that it was progressive for me to really move confidently in the next step of my journey. And this is it. This is it. Me showing up for myself, taking time to give wisdom and love and courage to others, and inspiring you to live your truth, experience it, and become the version that you think is best suited for you. So, thank you for watching this, and I'll see you guys next time.